for more about the coverage and the role of diaspora media, I'm joined in studio by Adedayo Fashanu, founder of the African Network TV, or TANTV. Adedayo, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you for having me, Vincent.
So very quickly, first, you covered this US-Africa summit here. Could you share with us what your approach was as a diaspora-based digital media?
I love how you phrase it, diaspora-based digital media, because that's what we are at TANTV. We are a media company catering to the African and Black multicultural diaspora in the U.S. And what we found out is that the diaspora in the U.S., the Africans and the Caribbeans, there's not a mainstream media that is telling our stories. And so it would surprise you that even something that was as big, right, as the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit that happened, a lot of people in our communities did not know about it. They weren't even aware. Like I talked to some friends in New York, they were not even aware that the summit was happening. So what we did in terms of covering was we created a comprehensive guide that highlighted some of the key events that were happening and also some of the side events. Because mind you, not everyone had access to attend, the events like the African Diaspora Leaders Forum, the Innovators Gathering that happened at the State Department. It wasn't very much accessible to a lot of people. So what we did was we created a guide that really informed those people who couldn't attend the summit. And so that guide reached over 1,000 people.
Oh, great. Now, yes. you talk also about trying to tell positive stories about Africans. Well, why did you think you need to do that, and how do you tell those stories?
Yeah, so when it comes to the narrative, right, we've all known, now it's getting better because of the entertainment, right, the music industry that is booming. But when it comes to telling our stories, there's been this negative narrative that's penetrated media. And you know that when it comes to media, whatever you say in the media is how people start relating to individuals, right? So what we understood with TANTV is that we are here to change that negative narrative and to increase the positive representation. Because the evolution of Black representation on American TV alone has come a long way in history. One thing I always say is that Black storytelling is not monolithic, right? And so there's diversity even within our Black communities. And what we're trying to do with TANTV is tell those multiculturally relevant stories.
Yeah. Some have wondered whether there is a convergence between those who are living on the continent right now and those of us who are here, especially when it comes to storytelling. How are you able to create that, if you're able?
Yeah, you mean to sort of bridge the gap? Yeah. I'll give an example. I think it was a few years back, right, the NSAS movement that happened in Nigeria. It was a big movement. Police brutality in Nigeria was a big issue. Even though we are diaspora-focused stories, you have about 2 million African immigrants that have familiar ties with home, that are living in the United States. And the voices at the same time, they matter. So we still have connection to the continent. So using the NSAS as an example, what we did was we were able to cover the protests that happened in DC. And that was a big protest that Nigerians took to the embassy in Washington, DC. And so we were able to cover that. And we were one of the only few media that really gave a voice to diasporans over here that were highlighting and putting pressure on the government back in the continent. So that's just a simple example of how we cover our stories. We have an editorial platform, and then next year we're launching TANTV as a streaming over-the-top media as well.
Doing a good job, and I look forward to seeing what you're going to roll out. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Adedayo Fashanu is the founder of TANTV.